I came into this world very differently. And I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you're someone that has came in differently as well. I always knew, even when I was a little kid, that I wasn't like other people. I did a lot of observing growing up. I would observe everybody. And one thing that I remember really clearly of when I was a kid of was always trying to understand why people were the way that they were. I didn't honestly fully understand it, but I knew that the way that people functioned here, how heartless, how cold, how severed, how vapid, how superficial, how cruel, how mean, how unloving people were, always baffled me. So when I say I was an observer, I observed everybody. And I couldn't understand how some people were really good at being here. Now, stay with me on this one. When because I was an observer, right? I would watch people my whole life, and especially in school with like fellow students or, whatever in my school. And I would just be like, how do they know how to be here? And when I say that, I mean that in the way of like, how do they know how to be cruel? How do they know how to be cold? How do they not feel everything that everybody's feeling at all times? How isn't there an awareness for how you make somebody feel, or how I could feel in a classroom who were the people that, were ostracized, who were loners, and how did you not have empathy for them? And I would constantly just watch people and observe people. And I realized really young that the way that I was, the way that I could feel everybody, the way that I had awareness for so many like emotions in other people, awareness within myself, I knew that the way that I was, I don't know why I'm this way. And I started to regret and hate, reject and dismiss that I was this way. And I wanted to be what everybody else was. Because being different, and now I have terminology for it. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath. And I always had the ability to feel so much. But when you grow up in this world, you are what I like to call the white sheep. You are the one that's different. You are unlike any other. We had to be, right? But when you grow up in the patriarchy, they truly ostracize people like us. They make sure that people like us don't thrive in their system. What they want people like us to do is succumb to the system, to suffer in the system, to have mental illness, to constantly think that something's wrong with you, so that you reject and you dismiss and you push away what and who you really are, so that you create a life of suffering, of addiction, of loneliness, or whatever it is that's unique to people who are highly sensitive people or empaths, okay? And so when I was growing up, I realized that whatever I was, I didn't want to be it, because that's not what was thriving in this patriarchal, third-dimensional, unconscious world. What thrived in the third-dimensional, unconscious world was just something that I had to learn how to assimilate and be, right? So I just remember I started changing a lot when I was in 8th grade, like I would start being mean or bully others, or start to act superior than other people who I didn't think were cool or pretty. I would watch a lot of my friends when I was like in the popular group in high school, and how just nasty they were and just harmful they were. But I learned like that's the thing that makes somebody cool and popular. And I became all of those things, right? Going against the nature of my soul and going against who I really was. But who I really was, like all of us, we can't survive like that. Not in that world. So you change and you contort and you distort, and you start to wear masks and take on identities. And slowly but surely, and this is what that old earth, the upper realm of hell, the P word, does to all of us, is that it severs you as much as they can and as far as away as you can from your divine self. And so today I was in a podcast with two people. It's called the Masters of Self University podcast. And we were all talking about how we were always different. You know, like I've always been kind of a loner. And I would notice it. I've always had friends, but I would notice, obviously, number one, that I was different. And then number two, like anytime like my group of friends would like migrate like to the left, I always found myself alone to the right. And then I didn't understand why I needed so much time alone. And I didn't understand why, even though I fit in, I never fit in. Like I just couldn't understand all of these things. And after a while, like I started getting massively depressed and massively anxious, and I had suicidal ideations, and I suffered a lot inside because not only was I going through my own traumas in my personal life, but I was also going through the traumas of society. I was going through the traumas of being a circle trying to fit into a square. You know, it's insanity. It's never going to happen. And how much I lost myself on the way. And it wasn't until I had started doing inner work on myself, you know, back in 2019, I knew that it was time for me to change because I was so gone. I was lost. I was so deeply sick emotionally, spiritually, mentally, that I knew something had to shift. And I started doing inner work on myself in 2019. And that's when I started to, anytime you start going inward, it inevitably becomes a spiritual journey, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. You know, like we're divine souls that come from the source of all that is, from the cosmos, the universe. And we come here to have this physical experience as a human being. And obviously in the world that we grow up in, you are cut off from that. You don't remember it. And then they do everything to make sure you never remember, right? And then you just get lost in this unconscious sauce. And so when 2019, I started going inward, I started doing inner child work, you know, I started seeing angel numbers everywhere, and I didn't even know what 1111 was. I had to Google it because my life got so crazy where everywhere and any moment I turned, I saw 1111. And I never had anyone to talk to because I didn't grow up with anybody that was spiritual. I grew up very religious. And so I remember Googling it and be like, why do I see 1111 nonstop? And it said angel numbers. And thus began my journey into myself. And obviously it's 2026. And this journey back home to the truth of you, to walk the path of evolution, to become a being of oneness, which is the truth of who and what you are, to come back to my soul, is not rainbows and butterflies and love and light and ecstatic dancing and just fucking dancing under the moon naked. It is an unraveling. It is a dying. It is a rebirth. It is painful, and it is challenging, and it is hard, and it is fucking magical and wordless. And there's no way to describe what this path is unless you're on the path of evolving, of becoming, of coming back to the truth of who and what you really are. And on this path, in the last, 6 years, I have accessed so much. And then there's also so much more to go. And now I'm in a place where I have completely and utterly accepted who I am in terms of being an empath, of being a highly sensitive person, of being different. I've lost and said, I'm not going to say lost. I've said goodbye to every single person that was in my life, because I said goodbye to so many groups that weren't serving me as I was evolving. I said goodbye to so many things that were a part of shadow selves, old versions of me that weren't the real me. I've said goodbye to so many things that I've been egoically attached to, and, labels and all of that stuff. And I spent a lot of time alone. But in the saying goodbye to everything and everyone that was not serving me, that was only keeping this facade and illusion of trying to be someone I'm not away, you start to create spaciousness. And then my soul family started to come in. And now I'm in a very different place in my life where I love my alone time, and I accept and I honor that I'm different, and I have the ability to feel so much and then to put names on everything that I feel. And I'm a student of mastering subtle energies now and on the path of becoming a being of oneness. And I just honor so much of the last 39 years of my life to get me to this place. And I know now that the 39 plus years that I'm still in this lifetime, as long as my soul chooses to be here, it will continue to be an acceptance and honoring of who and what I am, because I came here in this lifetime to awaken, to create a new earth by becoming what new earth is. New earth, the fifth dimension, the golden age of harmony, all beings that are part of the new earth, that make up the new earth, they will be high vibrational frequencies, enlightened frequencies. They are beings who are becoming their true divine selves, which means we got to do some serious work to alchemize and heal everything that is not divine, that we have brought around, ingrained, conditioned, programmed, all of it from the patriarchy. You understand? So I accept and I honor what and who I am. And I accept and honor that my ability to feel as deeply as I do, to be empathic, is what this world needs. That's why we had to feel different, because we are different, because we are what this world needs. But that doesn't mean that, okay, we're just it, that's it. It's like, no, you got to do the work to fully step in and become what you are with the super power gifts that you came in with. Because every single being on this planet, including the trees, the animals, children, they need us to become beings of oneness, to come back to our divinity, so that we assist Mother Earth in bringing this planet back to its rightful place, being a feminine planet led by enlightened, powerful women, to have dragons and serpents and the divine feminine reign, to come back to oneness consciousness being the center and core of everything, and to burn the fucking patriarchy down to the fucking ground, and every parasite that built it, that raped this world, that destroyed everything that is of the feminine, that is of source. So for those of you who are still struggling with, oh, why am I like this? Okay, let's start to heal all the powerlessness and the weakness that's there, all the fragility, the victim consciousness. And as you learn how to start alchemizing and healing that, you will start to connect to your power, to who you really are. And your eyes and your heart and your ears will start to open to the true powerful gifts you came in with, that you came here different. And it is what is going to help this world create a new earth. If you ever want to learn, mastersofselfuniversity.com. Check us out, or you can listen to our podcast, Masters of Self University podcast. We have so many free resources for you to start learning about what Rachel Fiori and this metaphysical school is here to bring to this planet. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.